Hola and bienvenidos a Tiger Art. Hi and welcome to Tiger Art. Today we're going to be talking about artwork that is made in a town called Oaxaca, which is in Mexico, our neighbors to the south. You may be familiar with the movie Coco. Now, if you're not familiar with Disney Pixar's Coco, you may not have seen Alebrijes before. But if you did see the movie, you will remember the brightly colored animals that are flying around through the land of the dead are called Alebrijes. Now, an alebrije is a small sculpture, usually carved out of wood and hand painted with beautiful, bright colored patterns. These make excellent little souvenirs if you ever travel to Mexico, and I've even purchased them at different parts in like Florida or California at places where you can buy little handmade crafts. Let's look at some really neat looking alebrijes. You'll notice that since this is hand carved out of wood, you'll notice right away how impressive that is when you think of how small they are. To hand carve something like this with all these little intricate details would take quite a skilled hand. It would also take a lot of patience and time. So we can appreciate that right off the bat. Now the paint job is what we're really going to be focused on here. So an alebrije's paint job is very detailed. Now they might start with a base color for everything, and then they would apply some patterns to it. So like, I don't know, stripes or dots in different areas. And then they don't stop there. There's always like a pattern on top of that pattern. So if it's a stripe pattern with two different colors, on each of those stripes, there may be a smaller pattern of like smaller stripes or dots or something, that gets smaller. And then inside of all of those, there may even be a smaller pattern. And then patterns could be outlined with different colors. Like if you had polka dots, you wouldn't just slap a dot on there. You would like try to outline that polka dot. And when you think of how small and detailed these things are, it makes it more impressive. So that's what we're going to be appreciating as we look through these alebrije examples. I really like this one a lot because of that paint job that we were just talking about. So we kept it, like the artist here kept it to basic shapes. There's not a whole lot of detail in the sculpting. It's kind of rounded and almost cartoony looking as far as the animal's shape. But if you look at the paint job, it's definitely not simple at all. You could zoom in closer here and you can see details upon details upon details. The patterns get more and more intricate and complicated the further in you look. Especially considering how small these are, makes it even more impressive. Quite a skilled hand would have made this paint job. Some of these look kind of awesome. Well, I would say they all look awesome, but some of them look kind of crazy too and wild. So the wacky, bright colors, it really gives us an appreciation for the culture of the town of Oaxaca in Mexico. Once again, we notice the bright colors and the patterns upon patterns. Let's check out a few more. Here, the black underneath really helps the bright colors stand out. So that's something you may want to think about, is how does that affect? So how does my choice of underneath colors affect the patterns that are on top? If I take red and I paint the whole animal red and then I'm putting orange patterns on top, it may not pop as much as if I painted it like blue and then put orange patterns on top. So you can really emphasize the bright colors and the flashiness of these alebrije designs by choosing colors that kind of complement each other, like opposite sides of the color wheel. So animals that work well for this project are going to be ones that are made up of basic shapes, but also they're made up of like sections. So like an animal that has different pieces that you could kind of break off and choose to decorate in different ways. That way you're not tasked with decorating the entire animal all at once. Even if it is like something like, let's say, an elephant or something, you would want to divide it into smaller sections before you do anything else, so that then you can focus on just one section and develop those patterns there as much as you can before moving on to another section. Your animal could be painted one solid color underneath everything, or it could be sectioned off and each section gets a different color. then you apply your patterns over top. Either way, let's talk about how to approach this project. Some of my basic drawing tips for starting off would be draw lightly. Draw as lightly as you possibly can. We'll talk about what that means and how to do that in just a minute. Another one would be try at least 4 ideas before you settle on one. You know, we hardly ever get things right on the first try, and our first idea is hardly ever our best. So we need to think through it a few more times and kind of just rehash the ideas and come up with what our best one is and what the one that we're most excited about is. That's ultimately the one you want to choose. Another drawing tip I always give is to start with the biggest, most basic shapes first and try to get those laid out large and in the center of your space. That will avoid having small details that are in the wrong place that need to be fixed, that take longer to fix. It will also avoid having a teeny tiny drawing that's awkwardly off to the side of your space and leaving a bunch of empty blank space. That's not a great way to compose a picture. Let's get started on the actual drawing of the Alebrije. Alright, so for today you're going to need just a plain piece of white paper and a pencil and your iPad. Take your paper and fold it in half, so taking the right side, matching it up to the left side, and putting a crease in it. Open it up, and then do the same thing in the other direction, taking the bottom, matching it up to the top, and putting a crease there. Alright, so that will give you 4 parts here. Now there's different ways you could approach this. You could just draw an animal that you already know what it looks like, or you've drawn before so you remember it. Or you could find a picture out of a book. Or what I like to do is use the tools that are available to you, like your iPad. You could go to google.com and just search for whatever animal you're looking for, but type in the word drawing, D-R-A-W-I-N-G, after it, and that's going to make the pictures that come up a bit easier to break up into shapes. So that brings up this, and then you'll see images as a tab you can select, and you want to go there and do that. So now that I have images selected, some of these even have how to draw steps. So I typed in armadillo, and I could either use one of these. You know, I'm just going to find something to look at. I'm not copying it exactly. I'm just using it to know what it looks like. The other thing you could do is go to YouTube and type in how to draw an armadillo, or how to draw whatever animal you want to choose here, and you may get a video that goes through step by step. That would be even better. So I'm just going to pick a random one like this here, and I'm going to pick 1/4 of my page. So I got my page divided into quarters. This is just regular drawing paper. I'm going to go through and I'm just going to draw some of the basic shapes to get the idea here. The key is, this is my space. I want it to be large and in the center. So I'm going to draw the biggest, most basic shape I can think of, which is the body and then this part for the head. Notice where I'm holding my pencil. I'm way out here. This is a good place to hold your pencil for writing, not for drawing. Out here you can control the pressure really well. Also, it gets my hand out of the way. So when I'm making these lines here, I can see my whole picture. If I hold my pencil here, I'm covering at least half of the picture, and I can't see what's there. Do you think being able to see is an important part of making a drawing? Absolutely. So make many lines, go around, make extra lines so that you can kind of erase them as you go. Draw basic shapes and just sketch in the general idea of this. So I don't need to get into all the details of the feet yet, because this is just a sketch. So I'm just simplifying the feet into basic shapes. I don't even know if I want to use the armadillo yet. I just know that it was something I saw in the Alebrije examples, and I thought it was cool. I like how it's split up into different parts, so it may make for good patterns, but I'm just seeing what the process of drawing one would be like. So after you get the first drawing done here, It doesn't need to be all that detailed. Move on to the next one. So pick a different animal this time. Maybe I'll go with something simple like a crab. Crab drawing on Google, and I'm in images, so now I'm seeing just basic shapes of what a crab looks like. And I could draw it from the top, I could draw it from the front, I could do it more cartoony, or I could be a bit more realistic. It really doesn't matter to me. It's up to you. So this time I'm going to draw a crab. I'm just going to start with basic shape. What's the biggest, most basic shape I could find is the body part here, and it's shaped kind of like this. I'm not following any one picture from Google exactly. You could if you wanted to, but I'm just kind of generalizing all of them. So then I get these parts. This is a big basic shape here. This is a big basic shape here. I know it's split up into smaller shapes, but I don't need to worry about that right now. I'm just focusing on what's the basic stuff. Do this on paper with pencil. Okay, if I really wanted to, I could get into the details of what these parts actually look like, but I really don't care at this moment. I'm just trying to figure out, do I want to use this for my Alebrije painting? So moving on, you want to pick a different animal. How about I do a shark? Ooh, these are cool. So you could draw any one of these, or anything you find. If you're on YouTube, you could type in how to draw a shark. Like this looks like a YouTube link right here. So that could be good because it can give you the steps and walk through it with you. I'm not going to go through the whole animal kingdom of different animal choices for everyone to choose from, so I'm just giving you a few that maybe you like. So I'm going to pick something, try to draw maybe one kind of like that. So big basic shape in the center of like the overall shape of the shark. Then we fit in some other basic shapes like triangles. Take your time, draw light, have fun with it. Don't worry too much about exact shapes. It's not what this is about. Just trying to get a feel for what the animal looks like. If you happen to like one of these, you can click on it and save the picture to your camera roll. Save, add to photos, and that way I know that I can come back to it later. So I got a shark, a crab, an armadillo, and I need to pick something else. What about a fish? Something else easy. Basic shapes. Oh, that'll work. I'm gonna use one of these other ones though. I don't want it to be too boring. How about this one's cool, like an angel fish, because that's got some really neat shapes in it. It's basically a big triangle like this, with another one attached to it. So I got some parts here that I could make cool patterns into. I got some parts here where I could make them. Just get 4 different ideas, take a picture of it, and submit. That's it for today.